Hey guys, hope you're doing well and welcome to our first Warhammer 40,000 video here on the channel. So today guys, we're actually just going to be taking a look at my Death Guard army. So I do have a couple armies. The Death Guard is my main faction and one of my favorite factions to play. They're the first ones I painted up with my wife. And yeah, they're just an absolute blast. So also forgive some of the technical stuff because this is I think the first time I've actually filmed a video outside of just using recording software on the computer. So I'm going to be using a handheld camera with a lapel mic, so it might sound a little bit different, but nonetheless, we're just going to be taking a look at my Death Guard army, the painting on the models, just kind of, going through and having some fun. Now, in future videos, I will do tactics videos. I'll show you guys army lists I've had pretty good success with in tournaments and things like that. But for today, it's just going to be an army showcase of my Death Guard, and we're just going to be having a good old time. So firstly here, guys, we have the Blight Terminators, and these are actually probably my favorite units in the entire army. Not only are they just extremely badass looking, and it's kind of a really rare combination to get units that are also, they're really cool in terms of fluff and the way they look, but they're also really good. Sometimes you have to settle for using units that you just don't enjoy in competitive play, but what's really cool about Blight Terminators is they're honestly probably one of the coolest units in the Death Guard Codex, and they're extremely strong also. You can see here, this one was actually painted by my lovely wife, Lady Turin, so you can see nice little layering there with the flames. It's kind of a purple hue. The other guy I think has, or this guy's more of kind of a crimson hue, but yeah, these Death Guard models are very neat, and you guys will see it'll be adjusting here in just a second. It'll focus in 1 and 2 into 3. Should any second now, but anyways, guys, you can see he's got all the tentacles and all kinds of nasty stuff up and under him here, so very, very neat character. So this is one of the flail guys, and I actually use the Blight Terminators in a group of 10, so typically I do bring them in like a huge blob like this, and they just like move around. It's just like a world-beating squad, and they just pretty much destroy whatever they can catch, so very good characters. Not cheap in terms of points, but yeah, if anyone's like looking to play Death Guard and you want to like invest in a big kind of centerpiece unit, I mean, these guys, like this group of 10 in terms of points, costs about the same as Big Papa Mortarian, so you're certainly going to be, getting your value's worth. This is the captain here. This is the leader of the squad, so he's got the, well, I guess it depends. Yeah, he has the Bubotic, or not the, what is that thing called? The Blight Launcher, and then he also does have a Plague Axe. I basically took the axe from a Demon Prince, and we kit bashed it on, so he's using like a big heavy metal Demon Prince axe. But if you guys have any questions about the painting schemes and whatnot, let us know. It's pretty simple, honestly. This army and most of these Terminators, I painted 5 of these, and I think Anna painted the other 5. We split them up when the time was near, and we made some pretty good progress for sure. They are incredibly cool models to paint, and Death Guard is like, what I really like about them compared to regular Space Marines is like just all the little like details, right? Like you can see like the horns up here, they have like tentacles and just random spikes coming out, and it's a little bit blurry as I do move them around, but I'll try and keep it in focus. Again, forgive me guys, this is my first time using a handheld cam here. You can see on the back this guy has a pretty disgusting little array of skulls and faces, and yeah, just the detail. Also about the bases, you guys can see we did some swamp bases. It's a really simple base actually. You just get the, what is it called? It's something, it's one of the Games Workshop ones. Oh man, what is that? Sterling Battlemire is what it's called, and then you just basically dry brush it with a Tyrant Skull, and then from there you just get Nurgle's Rot and just basically fill up the little pits there with a couple layers. It's really, really neat. So those are the Blight Terminators. I'll show you guys a couple more. This is actually one of the ones I painted, and it's one of my favorite ones. Granted, Anna's, she painted the flail guys, and they're the coolest ones, but aside from them, I think he's the coolest. He has like a little Nurgling hiding in his stomach. He's pretty cool character. He's got his axe, he's got his cape, he's got like spikes coming out of him. Man, these Terminators are my favorite characters. So that is the Blight Terminators, and now guys, we're going to move on to another piece of the army, and I will be back in just a second. So the next unit we have here are the Death Shroud Terminators, and aside from Blight Terminators, I think these guys are probably my favorite looking unit in the army. I mean, alright, not counting Mortarian, he's obviously an absolute beast, but these guys are really, really cool. Now, in terms of actually like playing them in casual games, they can be pretty good for sure. I mean, they got the Hateful Charge rule. They can just absolutely crush whatever they get into contact with. They do have Strength 8 weapons, -3 with a D3 damage profile, which is pretty good, and they get 3 attack space +1 from the Hateful Charge, so you guys get the picture. If they're able to get on a target, they're really going to take those guys apart. But this is a champion here. You can see he's got his big old pimp scythe there. He's got his frickin' bells. This guy's always ready to party, and he's always ready to feast as well. He's got that lovely kind of reminds me of the Kurt Russell movie, The Thing. It kind of has that mouth. Man, that totally looks just like that. But yeah, Death Shrouds are actually, in terms of lore, they're the personal bodyguards of Mortarian. These guys do work at protecting Morty. So basically, if they're within 3 inches of Mortarian, they can intercept shots and melee attacks. So if you're actually looking to use Mortarian in competitive games, or in any game in general, and you're playing against a very shooting-heavy list, one of the big concerns with Mortarian is the fact that he can get shot off the table on turn 1. You're just like, ah, damn it, there goes a fourth of my army in one shot, right? But basically, you get these bad boys, you put them within 3 inches, and there's some gamey tricks with them as well. Like, if you put these guys in cover, right? So you put them in cover, like inside of a ruin, and then you put Mortarian like outside the building, and they shoot at Mortarion. These guys intercept the shots, and they actually get the cover save. It's a really, really good combo. And yeah, Death Shroud Terminators are, I mean, it's the Grim Reapers. Like, look at these guys. This guy's got some spooky face and everything. He's got skulls hanging him off him. He's got coins. The Death Shroud, you know, cloaks and capes are really, really cool aesthetic of them as well. This is the last guy. Animated this one up, so this guy's going to be a better quality. You'll notice that there's like better highlights on the capes and things like that, and yeah, like cool rust effects, because she does mixed media art, as you guys have seen. And at the end of this video, I'll actually have something to show you guys as it pertains to her art, which is very, very neat. So yeah, these are the Death Shroud Terminators, the personal bodyguards of Mortarion. I wouldn't recommend using these guys unless you're maybe running Mortarion or a lot of characters you want to protect. But they can only protect Death Guard characters, which would be kind of cool if they could protect like Thousand Suns and things like that. But it wouldn't be terribly lore friendly, I suppose. So again, these are the Death Shroud Terminators, and guys, we're going to move on to the next unit. So now, guys, we have the Plague Marines, which are the backbone of the Death Guard Legion. Very, very cool looking units. And as a matter of fact, the Plague Marines were one of the first units I did see when I got into the hobby, and it's pretty much what got me into the game. I saw this guy, and I was just like, God damn, that is a cool looking character. So you can see here, this is the Plague Marine Champion. He does have the Power Fist. He also has a sword. And I mean, if he gets up close, he can do some work. Now, Plague Marines, in terms of like a competitive gameplay and things like that, are relatively weak, but someday I think they'll get changed up. I mean, the new Space Marine stuff that just came out, man, that stuff's really, really good. But like in terms of just painting and like hobbying and lore and aesthetics, these guys are so cool looking. Like, look at the kind of the little emblems he has there on the fist, and then he's just got a freaking skull coming off him here. He's got tentacles coming out of his legs. I mean, this guy means business. He's not messing about. You know, he's a little bit of a foul dude, but that's part of the game. So this is the Plague Marine Champion, painted by the lovely Lady Turin, who you guys can pretty much tell, like the ones that are just like a little bit jankier looking are the ones I painted, and the ones that she's painted are the really nice ones. There's another Plague Marine here. You can see this is one of the classic box art models. He's just rocking his bolter. He's got all kinds of goo all over him. Classic stuff. So yeah, there's a bunch of Plague Marines. I mean, they have really, really cool aesthetics for sure. So we'll just kind of zoom in here, and you guys can see this guy actually is another one that looks like he belongs in a Kurt Russell the thing. He's got another mouth maw. He's got a mouth and a mouth. He's got mouths everywhere. He does have a Blight launcher as well. This is actually a kit bashed one, so I basically took an Imperial weapon and just slapped it on there. I was like, oh, let's do it. Screw it. I'm not ordering another box for $50 just to get one more Blight launcher. And he's also got his sword. I mean, Plague Marines are just so cool. Basically, like, these guys are like my eternal crutch. Like, I play in a pretty competitive 40k league, and I always want to bring these guys, and like I'm like, it's always my downfall. I'm like, oh, like I got to bring the Plague Marines. I have to do it. This guy's one of my favorite models as well. He literally has like tentacles and gore coming out of his chest here, and then freaking, you know, there's bells. There's you know, up here you do have the lovely smoke effect, which is pretty neat, and he's got his bolter there. Yeah, Plague Marines are just really, really neat characters for sure. And across the board, I mean, they can be okay, to be honest. I mean, I know I've been ragging on them quite a bit this video, but Plague Marines can do some okay work. If you get them on top of an objective, they're pretty hard to displace, and there are some pretty good combos with them. As a matter of fact, oh, he's on the other side of the table, damn it. There's a character that combos really well with these guys called the Biologist Putrefier, but again, we'll save that for a tactics video. So those are the Plague Marines of Nurgle. Also, guys, we have a quick bonus before we take a look at the next unit. So Lady Turin is actually working on some merch for our merchandise store. That'll be coming up relatively soon. And she's actually been hand-making these really, really cool kind of 40k trinkets, and also for 40k, for fantasy, you name it. So this is one of the first ones. This is a Nurgle one. So you can see it has the mark of Nurgle. It has like little plague, like, oh man, just so gnarly. This is all like handmade, like all of this. And it has like really cool cracking in it to make it look a little bit archaic. So yeah, definitely some neat stuff. So you can see this is like something you could use as kind of a desk warmer. If you're a desk warmer, is that even a thing? But yeah, incredibly awesome. And she's working on them for Wood Elves, for Khorne, for Empire. Like, she's going to be making like emblems that you guys can use for kind of decorative pieces all around here. So this is one for Nurgle, and I figured it was appropriate since we were showing Death Guard. Here's another piece she made, which is a nice little one. It says the Plague on the bottom. You can see it has that. It has the mark of Nurgle. It has like all kinds of like bring out your dead. Up at the top it has the yeah, I think that says, yeah, some scary stuff. There's a fly up there as well. So yeah, she's making a lot of cool stuff like that. And I can't wait to show you guys the other ones. But yeah, these are for Nurgle, and mainly themed around Warhammer Fantasy, but again, they do have 40k hues as well. So awesome stuff. Those will be going up in our merch store, which will be done probably in the next month or so. So stay tuned for that. And guys, we'll see you in the next unit.
No, it's the Great Unclean One.
The Great Unclean One, yes.
It's the Great Stinky Duper.
Alright guys, so now we're going to be getting into some of the Death Guard armor. So here we have the Fetid Blow Drones. Now these guys, what's really cool about Fetid Blow Drones in terms of like people just starting to collect is they're really cheap to get. Now if you buy them from the Games Workshop store, I think it'll run you, you know, quite a pretty penny. They can be expensive, but if you just get them from, they came in the Dark Imperium box, so you can get them from that box for like 10 or 11 bucks. And honestly, they are a great starting piece for a Death Guard army. So let me go ahead and adjust this in my crippled hand here real quick. So yeah, you can see he's got some scratches. Anna did a really cool job with the eye there. He's got his dual flamers, he's got his turbines in the back. It's like a whole a whole fleshy mess. Yeah, I gotta like make sure I'm staying in the light here. I have like these 3 mini lights that the great Italian Spartacus sent my way. I think it was for my birthday. And yeah, they're doing a pretty good job here. I just gotta make sure I stay in them. So these are fetid bullet drones. They have names. I think Anna, what did she name him? I can't remember what that guy's name was. The other guy's name I think was, oh, Harold. That's Harold. Yeah, Harold the bullet drone. This guy is the one that got a little bit washed. I think we washed him a little bit heavy, but nonetheless, he's still really cool looking. So pretty similar stuff. He's just got the bulging eye, and yeah, he's got his turbines and all that cool stuff in the back. He has little buboes all over him and nasty stuff. And yeah, fetid bullet drones are a really, really cool model. So they're very solid. Now they're not as good as Plague Burst crawlers in my opinion, but it's pretty negligible. I mean, not negligible, but it's interchangeable. You can use either, and you'll be fine. Now, so we have another bullet drone back there. You can see him. We'll zoom in on him for a second. We'll do the dramatic zoom, and his eye's just looking. He has a different eye. I painted that one, so he's a little bit haggard compared to the other ones in terms of detail. But here on top of the tank, we have, I think this was the second model I ever painted. But I've done some touch-ups since then, but this is the Noxious Blightbringer. So basically, this guy allows you to move a little bit quicker with your Death Guard troops. He's got his big bell up here. He's got a little happy Nurgling swinging a bell. I mean, everything's happy and jolly in Nurgle's realm, so... He does also have Nurgling on the back and some other things like that. So, yeah, he's a cool dude. Likes to party, gets around, has some fun. Not a terribly good unit, but still very, very neat. Now, this is a really cool piece in our army. So, Italian Spartacus actually gave me an old Imperial Rhino from when he was a kid. And Anna and I kit-bashed the hell out of it. So, we added, like, chains with skulls on the back. We added, like, just tentacles and growth all over the back. Like, Anna used some of her mixed media supplies to make it, like, really, really nasty. You can see here, there's, like, chains and all kinds of stuff. And, of course, it's going to be piloted by a glorious Nurgling. So if you look here, you can see him just smiling up on top. Very cool. So what I usually do with this is I'll load it up with Plague Brains and then get the grenade stratagem and just go ham bone. But, yeah, it's my Death Guard Rhino. What's cool is it's like an old model, so it's actually smaller than usual Rhino, so it's easier to hide than it should be. But, yeah, he does his piece. This guy's a little bit uninteresting, to be frank. He is the standard Games Workshop Demon Prince model. But I basically just wanted him instead of the Nurgle one because the Nurgle Demon Prince is horrific looking. Like, not in a good way. It's just a terrible looking model. And this guy, I can use him as like, a Demon Prince for like whatever, like Chaos Undivided, because he's like general enough looking. But he is a Death Guard Demon Prince by, scheme. We have the same Death Guard color, Death Guard green base with the trim and Balthazar gold and, things like that. So, yeah, he's pretty cool. Wings are very, very basic. Just use a combination of grays and blacks to kind of do the wings. And I think it's Rakarth and Xandri for the kind of the little veins of the wings there. And yeah, Death Guard Demon Prince. Pretty cool stuff. Alright guys, and now we're going to be showing you a mishmash of various characters. So you can see here I've only brought 8 Poxwalkers, but I actually have like 80 or 90 of them, but I just don't feel like getting them all on the table just going through all of those. So forgive me guys. So here, this is a Poxwalker. These guys are, they were actually pretty good when they first came out. There were some really powerful strategies with the Death Guard with the Poxwalkers, but they got nerfed a little bit. Looks like camera's having a little bit of trouble focusing, so let's get him up close and give him a second, see if it'll focus in on his lovely mug. It's thinking about it. It's like, you know what, I want to focus, but I'm just not going to make it easy. So we'll just kind of come down here and do a bit of a broad sweep of the Poxwalkers. So you can see in the front here, we have all these bad boys. And yeah, they're just kind of the backbone of, mono Death Guard armies. The problem with Poxwalkers is everybody's just like, Plague Bears are just a million times better, and they cost like barely like anything more. So Poxwalkers, like also, they only get buffed when they're with Big Papa Typhus back here. So without Typhus, they die incredibly quickly. They're like strength 3. They're like cultists, just Walmart cultists that cost more. But anyways, yeah, these are the Poxwalkers. This is the doc of the squad. He's the medic of our Poxwalker squad. He's got his hammer. He's got some claw action going on over here. He's got some warts, which is the classic Nurgle aesthetic. Those are the Poxwalkers. Pretty fun little units, but sorry about the camera. I know it keeps probably... I'm not used to like filming things with my strong hand here, so let's go ahead and move those guys off camera, just like they get moved off the table in our battle reports. Now, here we have Typhus. Now, Typhus is one of the first models I painted. Actually, I think it was the 4th model I painted, 4th or 5th. I painted a couple Plague Marines, a couple Poxwalkers, and then he was like my first challenging model to paint. But he is very cool. He's got that white helmet. He has like a Poxwalker here, not a Poxwalker, a Nurgling, just kind of nibbling on his stomach, which is lovely. And he's got his big scythe. Now, Typhus is a pretty cool character. Now, in terms of competitive play, he's a little bit questionable. He's a little bit overpriced, but he can still do work. Like, he hits like an absolute truck, a flat 3 damage, strength, I think 8 weapon or 7. I can't quite remember. I think he's strength 7 or 8. It's got to be 8, right? With his Mastercrafted Band Reaper. It's been a while. I haven't been playing him lately. I've been playing with my Abaddon army. But again, I'll be doing a separate video for Thousand Suns and Black Legion. So this is Typhus. Yeah, it's cool. He's got his little puddle of mud down here. We're going to add some skulls to that soon. He's got his hand. He's just being an absolute diva with that hand right there. And yeah, he's a really, really neat model. I'm a big fan of Typhus. I chose not to do the Destroyer Hive on the back because the bees just like kind of, I didn't like painting them and they just kind of looked weird to me. So I decided not to use the bees. So there's Typhus. He is off camera now. And now we have the Lord of Contagion, which is a much cooler looking model. Lord of the Contagion is pretty much the same thing as Typhus. He's like the regular version. So just think in Total War Warhammer. He's like the Huntsman General to Marcus Wolfhard, right? But yeah, he's a cool character. Sometimes I use him for, just drop him in the backfield. And, if there's an objective back there, you could just sit on it. He's very slow, and if you fail your 9-inch charge out of your deep strike, you're often in trouble with this guy. But if you just want to have a fun, casual game, he's a cool character to bring, and he can, pretty much karate chop whatever he finds. So that is the Lord of Contagion. You can see Anna did some really cool effects with the rust and axe and blood, and he's also stepping on some Nurglings. You can see he's like stepping on a mound of Nurglings there. They're just just screeching like Wookiee. Yeah, good stuff. He's got a little cape back here. He does also have some flames coming out of his sensors right there. And on the shoulder, he's got some spikes, rust action. Just, man, this is actually one of the first ones Anna painted. And I was like, when I first saw her paint this, I was like, God damn, she's an amazing painter. All right, so that's that. Next, we have the Malignant Plaguecaster. He's one of my least favorite models in the whole army. I just hate his baby face, like that chubby little face of his. But I mean, aside from that, it's an okay model. It's like, very much Death Guard aesthetic, right? So they're basically the sorcerers for Death Guard. They're tankier, they're T5, they have, I think they have the same amount of wounds, but they have a disgustingly resilient, feel no pain, of course. And yeah, they have some really cool kind of mortal wound effects. I think with a slight point drop, they could be good, but anyways, I always am like talking about the tactics and everything, but we're just showing you the army in this video. But yeah, I'll do something else talking about these guys in future videos. But yeah, this is my Malignant Plaguecaster. When I'm playing pure Death Guard, I often bring him just to, with Typhus to make sure I get all the good spells. And Death Guard really only have a couple good spells, but with Typhus and him, you can usually cover both bases. So that's Plaguecaster. Now the next characters we're going to be talking about here are the Foul Blight Spawn. And they're basically just 3 of the same thing. I run 3 of them usually, or 2, like in my lists. And yeah, they're really cool. So there's a little happy Nurgling on the base there, just kind of carrying a grenade. His tank, I haven't done his tank yet, so the tank is going to be filled with like green goo and things like that, so he's not finished. You can see there's like a decomposing skull there with like some rot on it, and yeah, he's just a cool looking dude. And now, if you guys are looking for competitive units, Foul Blight Spawns, Blight Lord Terminators, Plague Burst Crawlers are by far the best units. These guys are freaking insane. For 77 points, they hit for a flat 3 damage. Like, man, they're just... I mean, it's 9-inch range, but it auto hits, so against like Eldar and, minus the hit modifiers, these guys are just destroyers. And they're characters. They can hide behind Poxwalkers, tanks, things like that. So guys, that's it for those characters. Now let us get on to, I think it's time for Big Papa. We're like at the midway point. Let's get Big Papa Morty. All right, guys, so now we're back with the Primarch of the Death Guard, Mortarion. So this guy is probably one of the coolest and just most awesome models in all of 40k. It's going to be a little bit tricky for me to kind of capture everything here, so let me go ahead and zoom in here and see if you guys can get the perspective. But that's kind of the general look. You can see on the base it's like a big like kind of swampland. So there's a little happy Nurgling with a torch down there. And of course the bottom of his cloaks are kind of like flames. So you can see there's a transition going up the cloaks. But yeah, Anna painted the rocks here, did the swamp. Beautiful, just beautiful stuff. You can see he has little like kind of cherub Nurglings, which are kind of a mockery of the Imperial ones. But yeah, I'll try and grab him here. He's a little bit flimsy, so I have to be careful not to kind of get him beat up. But you can see I decided to do the, sorry guys, the green glowing eyes here. So you can see he's got that like just mean mugging face. The wings are a really cool effect. So basically we did like green like kind of veins here and like a purple and kind of like bruised hue. And we have Caliban green with Rackhearth up there for the flesh on the actual wings themselves. And yeah, Morty's just always ready to party. He's got his big scythe. He's got his lantern pistol down here. Yeah, he's just a really cool model. As far as the flames go, we did kind of a, I don't know how I would describe that, kind of like a neon colored one. There he has the flies mixed in there and everything. So let's go ahead and turn Big Papa Morty around. Yeah, and again, guys, my apologies. I'm not like the most technical lad, but I'm going to be getting better. I'm going to be practicing with all this. And this is a rear view right here. So you can see he's got the big wings. He's got his scythe down there. I really like how the wings turned out. It was kind of I saw a Mortarion that had wings that were like pure black, and then it had like green veins in it. And I was like, oh, that looks really, really cool. Because I kind of like I mean, I've seen some of the other wings that make him look more like Mothra, but these ones I think are the way to go. So yeah, it's Morty, Primarch of the Death Guard, a really, really good character, actually. He's used in a lot of competitive lists in Bash Brothers and other things like that. Plus in casual games, he's just the destroyer of worlds. Like, if you're playing a new player and, they don't have enough anti-large in their army, Morty will just decimate them. Yeah, he's a really cool character. If you're going to use Morty, just a bit of a quick tip for anyone out there, make sure you bring warp time. So bring like 1,000 Suns detachment so you can fly twice. That's the big issue with him, is that he can only move 12 inches. So turn 1 charges aren't really possible with him without warp time. But yeah, he's He is a cool character. That is my Mortarion. Anna and I painted that together, and now we'll move on to some of the next units. All right, guys, so these will be the last set of models I'll be showing you today. I do actually have 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, but and I use them in pretty much every game I use Death Guard. I'll use like all 3, but the reason I'm not showing you the Crawlers today is because they're not painted yet. Most of them are like halfway through completion. It's just, Anna and I got through most of this army in a pretty big burst, and then towards the end, my hand started to get really bad. You know, obviously with what I do for a living, it can be very taxing, so I kind of had to stop painting for a while, so I have, you know, they're almost done. I'll show you guys the Plague Burst Crawlers in a battle report when I eventually put one of those up, so stay tuned for those. But for the most part, this is the last selection of units here. So this is the Biologist Putrefier. He's a really cool unit. Basically, he has like a whole rack of grenades on his back, and yeah, he just, you know, buffs Plague Marines. So if you have him within a couple inches of Plague Marines, he makes their grenades really strong. He can do a mortal wound stratagem. He's not the best character, but you know, if your opponents don't know he's coming and he's like riding in the Rhino, who's lurking over there, you guys can see the Rhino hanging out now. You put him in the Rhino with like 8 Plague Marines and then a Chaos Sword, and you can get like something that can pretty much one-shot a knight just with a group of Plague Marines. It's pretty cool. Granted, you have to be within 6 inches for it to work, so it's a little bit of a gimmick, but he's a cool character. His injector pistol did break off in the front, unfortunately, but yeah, he's got his mud. He's got like a bunch of grenades on his back, which Anna painted up, and there's like skulls back there. Yeah, he's a cool-looking character. I mean, a really, really neat model for sure. So he's going to join his Plague Marine buddies. Now, this guy is a kit bash. This guy was a Black Legion Chaos Lord who was fallen to Nurgle. So he was originally Obsidious Malix, but you can see here he's since you know, found the grandfather. So we gave him a Bubotic Sword here. We gave him like spikes and Nurgle freaking things coming out of his head here. He has wings from I believe that's from what's it called? Oh, what are those freaking models called? They're really bad. Possessed. It's from Possessed. And on top of that, he's got a cloak, he's got a plasma pistol. So basically there's a relic Death Guard sword called the Plaguebringer, which is pretty good. So we equip him with that, and he gets in there and he crumps people, and he's a Chaos Lord. So Death Guard can actually bring Chaos Lords with jump packs because it's not in the Codex, but it's in the Index, so you're allowed to bring it in games for now. But Games Workshop will probably get rid of that soon. You can also see there's like tentacles coming out of his body there, which, yeah, he's a really, really cool character. So that is the Chaos Lord here. And last but not least, these are the Contemptor Dreadnought. So these are Forge World options. These guys, like Death Guard's biggest problem is they lack heavy firepower, and these guys are strength 8, -1, flat 2 damage apiece, and they're really cool. They're from like the Heresy era. You can see that I made them nice and rusty here. He's got like rust down in his chest there, his head. He even has some rust covering his eye. His missile rack is rusty. It's just rusty. He's ready to party. He has the Legion mark of the 14th Legion of the Death Guard Traitor Legion, and yeah, they're really cool. So I run 3 of these guys. This is probably the most nicely painted one. Of course, Anna did that one, and here's my janky one. So this guy here, he's got a little bit of an eye patch on. He's kind of a pirate. This guy likes to party. And yeah, really, really neat model for sure. Down here you can see the emblems of the Death Guard. Yeah, these things are really good. Like, a lot of people kind of don't like him because they're like, oh, it's not true Death Guard. It's not in the Codex. But they are in Forge World, and they can be used with Death Guard as well. So they're really, really good. And here's the last one as well. They all have dynamic poses. And I can tell you, these guys are a pain in the ass to build. Like, the resin is, ugh, it's so annoying. But those are the Contemptor Dreadnoughts. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this this video today. That's going to be it for now. That is my Death Guard army with the exception of the 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, which aren't painted yet. But you know, I don't want to show you guys any unpainted filth here on this channel. So we're going to do it to it. And over the course of the next month, I'm going to be trying to get a battle report going. I don't know when, but I'm going to be trying to find an opponent who has a painted army, and we'll do something. So let me know what you guys want to see in terms of content. Would you like to see strategy guides for the factions? Would you like to just see army showcases like this? I, of course, have my Black Legion army, which is pretty big. It has Obliterators, Abaddon, Sorcerers, freaking a million Cultists. You guys will have fun seeing that. So thanks again for watching, guys. Papa Nurgle bless you all, and stay tuned for a battle report in the next month or so. Really looking forward to it. See you guys.